Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to be having this podcast today with not only the best builders in the Sims community, in my personal opinion, but also one of the newest members of the EA Creator Network. And I am so excited to have both you here today sharing basically the beginner's guide on how to build. So thank you, Jubie and Kev the Builder, for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't
I'm
take
honored with these titles that you're giving us.
I know.
I cannot take any credit for this. Jubie came to me and asked me to do this podcast, so all the credit goes to Jubie. So, yeah. So, but I gotta ask, how did it go? How did it feel for both you guys to open up your inbox last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, and be part of the EA Creator Network?
It was insane. I mean, I got mine right at the end of a stream. So it was like I ended stream at like 11 p.m. and then it was like in my inbox and I didn't really read it. I was just kind of like, oh, EA, blah, blah, blah. And then like the next morning is when I actually really read it. And I was like, oh, well, this is exciting. I applied for this back in like 2020, I think is when they had opened it up for everybody. And back then I was just a little baby and like, and now it's like, I don't know, so many accomplishments have come over the past couple of years and friends. And I don't know, it was kind of exciting at the end of the day. Yeah.
I was so proud of both of you for being like,
Oh.
my babies. They've grown so much. Because like Kev, like you were such a baby the first time I interviewed you.
I know, and I like we were still in the midst of Jubie's Builder Games, her first season of Builder Games, and like nothing had like it was literally like maybe week 7 that we did the interview, and I just remember when I reached out to Jubie to even be like a part of the competition. I was like maybe like 60 followers on Instagram. And I was like, I should try, I'd ask. And then she's like, actually, we had 2 people drop out. Like, if you want to be a part of it. And I was like, sure. I didn't know what to expect. I had done like shell challenges for like people on Twitch, but I have never done anything on Instagram at that point. And yeah, here we are.
Here we are. Jubie, how did you feel?
Okay, so when I got mine, I was sitting in a classroom and I was like literally just sitting. It was one of my lab classes a few weeks ago. And I was just sitting there, and then all of a sudden I'm like checking my email because I forgot my password and I had to go check my email and redo it. And then I like logged in and I was like, holy crap. I just see the EA creators community, you've been accepted. And I'm sitting there and I'm not very good at like hiding my emotions physically. So I'm just sitting there, just like, I'm like, oh my God. I think I said it out loud. Luckily, it was like a work period, so everybody was talking. But I was just sitting there by myself at this little desk with my headphones in, doing my homework. And then all of a sudden I was like, holy shit. I'm like, sorry, but I'm just like, oh my God, I was so excited. And then, yeah, I essentially was just like, I just kind of sat there in like, I don't know, vibrating hyper go mode for like 20 minutes. And then, yeah, I don't know, it kind of like was just very, very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember much of it.
It's just like one of those things, like you weren't expecting it to happen. Like I wasn't, at least, because it was just like it had been so long, And I was like, why would they need more creators? Like, why would they need
I was also convinced, because I've made the Builders games and because I have something that's, I think, similar to you, Kev, because you have Bake Off.
Yeah.
Because we're using The Sims to do our own things.
Yeah.
It's no different than building, right? But because we're using The Sims and the program itself, I was like, oh, EA will want to be affiliated with me because I'm using it for this extra reason.
Yeah.
So it was exciting to know that they were like, hey, we don't care. We just want you in. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
Valid. Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
A lot of people also got in that day, which it was a sweeping amount of Instagram stories. Like, we're in. Me and Alex are just waiting off to the side.
You guys are the best cheerleaders. I mean, what can I say? You're so supportive, and honestly, they need a podcast division. So
there is a podcast. That's what I applied for, was for podcaster.
Not get this. I gotta get this.
Daddy EA, I know you listen.
Excuse me, Mr. Ninja.
Dave, I know you're listening to this, David.
Yes. David.
I know I'm a problem child, but like I'll still be a problem child, but I like you a little bit more.
But you speak the truth, and you also like. I don't think you're saying anything that nobody else hasn't said.
It's true.
So yeah,
Daddy EA, we love you. We appreciate you sometimes on this podcast. Anyways, let's get started. So Jubie, tips and tricks. You've been building for a long time. What do you want to share?
I was trying to think of something. So I think my very first, like, I wrote down a whole bunch of points here, right? My very first point that I started with was start with a box, not a rectangle. Because I was like trying to think of, like, I know roofing is a very scary thing. And when you get a roof, it's already in a box. Like, it's, you could literally just get the roof and place it on something. You don't even have to move it. And then I was like, you could start with a little, 3x3 room, I guess that is, and do a little rags to riches challenge. I don't know. That's kind of where I was thinking. Kev, do you have anything else? Like
for
basic?
where to begin
Yeah.
with building. I kind of think of Sims in a timeline kind of way, and like my own personal progression is very similar to a lot of other builders' progressions where, like, when I played Sims 1, it was very much like I had to build the most gaudy house on the face of the planet. So it was like the most expensive objects were always placed on that house and inside that house, right? And now to this day, I'm like more of like a minimalistic, Scandinavian inspired builder when it comes to like the themes that I really enjoy building in. But that correlation between those two styles of homes are so different, but they do have the standard of like you start with the box, like you were saying, and then you kind of add another box onto it until you start feeling comfortable. And there's my husband bringing me a Starbucks right now. Anyway, so back to the building aspect of this.
Cheers.
Cheers. Exactly. Taking one box, putting it to another, and then you just start learning how those shapes relate to each other and how you want your roofs to start connecting. And as simple as those shapes are, I feel like that's how you learn how to start seeing other shapes in building, if that makes any sense that I'm trying to say.
That makes sense. Because if you think about it, The Sims gives you your pre-made rooms, right?
Yeah.
Like they give you an L-shaped pre-made room. They give you an octagon. And in that octagon, you also get an octagonal roof. So it's like you literally can just match up the sides like a puzzle. And that's why my favorite shells to do are puzzle shells. Because realistically, I've always built the shells as together, and then I take them apart and create pieces with them. Because realistically, every shell is just a puzzle of rooms put together.
Yep.
And it's just a magical mystery at the end of it.
Yeah. And those are always the ones where everybody's build looks different too. Like you're not usually, like when you do a regular shell challenge and you give people, usually those houses all look relatively the same. But when it is a puzzle shell, like you're saying, it could be so different from what each entry looks like.
Yeah, it's like you kind of just get my favorite thing, like, so for the builder games, for example, when we do those shells is like, for you, it would be a Scandinavian inspired home. For somebody else, it's like a crazy Gothic Victorian. And then other people are like crazy modern brutalist type architecture.
Yeah.
Like, it just varies so much, and it allows for so much room with creativity, because there's really nothing wrong with creating a puzzle shell because you're just putting the pieces together. That's all you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what about like door and window placement? Because I know a lot of people struggle with window placement and how many windows are acceptable to be in a room.
Okay, I have a ratio.
I'm ready for this.
So essentially, like, in The Sims, there is a button that lets you auto place windows.
Is that in Sims 4, or like that was in previous versions, right?
It in Sims 4,
Oh.
that's how when I started building, I would use it.
Yeah.
And it basically puts a window on every second square,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, which is wrong.
Yeah, very wrong.
That's so wrong. So when I do it, I look at my whole house, I build my whole house, I roof it, and then I stare at it and I go, where the hell would I want to look out the window?
Yeah.
So, and then I sometimes will throw a few windows on it. So I try to do like, if we imagine the whole build in thirds, I do the first third of the bottom floor has to have windows on it. And then the second third of the bottom floor has to be decorated with something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final third is when you put the wallpapers on. Like that's kind of how I do it. And then the same thing usually goes for the top, but there's also like roof placements that you're just dealing with up there where it kind of cuts into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I always do like if I'm doing a 20 by 15 lot, for example, say my house is probably quite small, I'm probably only putting 4 windows on that entire top floor.
Yeah.
Like that to me, 4 windows at that point feels like way too much. But yeah, and then doors always have to be for myself. I like them to be centered with the lot. If they aren't centered, I need to have a very fun pathway that gets to the door.
Exactly.
And then when you open up the house, like if I were to be walking through the front door of my house, I want to either see a staircase or I want to see an archway that takes me to either the back of the house or a hallway, and there's like a viewpoint.
Yeah.
I think of everything in the rule of thirds, and if it's not in the rule of thirds, I'm not building it.
Yeah.
That's my spiel.
I love your responses because as somebody who does a lot of this in real life too, your responses are so accurate to in real life, you know? So it's like when you think of foyer entryways, yes, you want to expect stairs, you want to expect that viewpoint going, you know, whether it's a lake behind your house or, you know, a gorgeous prairie or something, like you kind of want to be able to see that expression of nature as you're approaching inside the house. The archways, absolutely. And you know, when it comes to windows and doors, for me, I'm a big believer of, you know, make the exterior beautiful. So like you want to have those windows in the correct position, but then you'll work around it in your interiors. So like I've seen builders who, you know, they'll get the outside all done and then they'll start working on the floor plan and then they'll be like, oh, well, this window needs to shift over because, you know, this wall on the inside is going to hit it. And I'm like, but look at it from the outside, you know, now your symmetry's off, your balance could be off. So there's always like, I'm always like thinking about the outside of a house before I jump in on the inside, and I accommodate the inside for the outside a lot of the time. So
that's kind of like I don't know if you guys have ever watched Little Simsy, but
yeah.
she's how I think a lot of people can say the same. That's how like I started learning how to build, was a lot of it from her Builder's Bible. And so essentially when I was learning, everybody would like ridicule her for never doing everyone's like flooring and wallpaper first because that's where you start. And I'm like, well, no, because at the end of the day, if you're showcasing a wallpaper, yes, that gets to go first. But if you aren't showcasing a wallpaper and you're showcasing items, it makes more sense to do that last because the wallpaper and flooring are just, they're accents. They're not like,
they're not your focal features a lot of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So which is why whenever I'm doing houses, I roof it. I do a shell and I roof it.
Yeah.
And then I add windows and doors because to me, those are more intricate details than just wallpaper.
Yep.
Like side paneling.
Yeah. Shiplap, that kind of stuff.
Shiplap, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I do have a question. I did not know that auto windows was a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing on season 4, on whatever game we're on for.
I believe Sims 4.
Yeah. Sims 4.
So if you go into the game, and then in the Windows area where it has like the small, medium, large, there should be another button that like you can click on that will be like almost like auto.
Kind of like the auto flooring situation.
Exactly. Yeah. So it kind of, I don't know if it's in there or if it's like kind of like when you do fencing and they're on like the side of the item bar on like the vertical. It might be right there too, but like I know there's a button and I know every so often I'm just like, okay, Daddy AA, what do you think I should
see? Take a chance here.
And it's like, if you look at the gallery afterwards, I'm like, I love all creators, everyone's great, but sometimes I laugh at the windows because you need to laugh at windows.
Yes, it's very true. Very true.
I think a good build can make or break when we talk about the floor and roofing and the ceiling and like any type of wallpaper. Talk to me of best tips and tricks of making sure your floor matches with your wall, which matches now with your ceiling.
Hmm.
For that one, for me personally, I love a good dark wood. It is there's no easier way to say it. I love them so much, and they make it like, a lot of people have a lot of qualms about the wood swatches in the game, which is fair. Sometimes they're beige and white wood are completely cream and not the right color.
Yeah.
Um, but I know, like with their dark chestnut wood, I would say a lot of them always match. Like the base game, I would always go with pack to pack. So if you're using Eco Lifestyle for that nice orange looking wood,
Hmm.
use Eco Lifestyle. A lot of newer packs all use the same woods now, but for example, werewolves came with a whole bunch of different random browns that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
But I know that they do match with Windenburg. So the get together pack. So there is
Mhm.
some that match in there. So that's kind of how I do it. I go pack to pack. And base game, at the end of the day, base game is best game. And you can do so much with it. And there are like so many more varieties than I think people realize.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That's for me. I would go pack to pack because it just feels more consistent that way.
It's very true. And like you said, base game is the best game when it comes to those wood swatches too. I'm a sucker for blonde woods. Like I really like those like lighter tones. And Horse Ranch, I will say, has surprised me through and through with their build by and the rustic to natural to dark are all of these gorgeous wood tones that come in with the flooring. They have obviously this like really gorgeous one that looks like beams that go on the ceiling. Um
Raise the
it's
rafters.
the rafters, yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I'll see people use those like on the floor, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
I wouldn't do that. Like, because like three-dimensionally, like it would be hanging down or like sticking up when you look at it. But I just turn an eye at that point. But it's just I'm really happy with how Horse Ranch has come through with all those swatches and everything. So
That's kind of how I feel. Horse Ranch is like one that like I was late to get it, so I got to watch everybody build with it for like a week and a half. I
yeah.
was at Taylor Swift that weekend. I can't make many
You
complaints about
can't
it.
complain.
I won't complain. But I remember coming home and I literally just remember sitting here staring at my computer and I was like, what the hell are these swatches?
Yeah.
Because I'm used to like claymation swatches where these ones felt like more it was almost like I was going from Maxis CC to Alpha CC, but like in game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I would explain it. I don't know. Horse Ranch. Horse Ranch is great.
It's really good. And I love using it in non-ranchy ways, like at the end of the day. Like it's got so much flexibility for other styles of builds. And those tones and those wood elements blend really well with other stones that are in the game for wallpapers. Obviously, the wallpaper stone that comes in that game is fantastic too, but I feel like that pack in particular has become one of my like preferred build by packs to like suggest to people to get because it
Yeah.
works so well with other packs in the game.
That's like me with like cottage living and get together. Or not
Hmm.
get together. Well, that one works well, but like
Yeah,
growing together.
growing
Mm.
Um
together.
they have, I know growing together was like one of the first ones that I was like, oh my gosh, these swatches, like that one tile swatch that like you can use for the bathrooms.
Hmm.
Not the herringbone one, but the other one with like the like wainscoting but tile.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that one I use all the time. You can use it in a kitchen, you can use it in a bathroom, you can use it in a foyer. Like you can use it all over the place and it looks beautiful every
and the
time. And I find
colors
that,
are great.
yeah,
Yeah,
they match with so many floorings and different things. So I
yeah.
find that like that's a really good pack as well.
Hmm. It's funny, like there's so many packs that I have grown to love that have come out recently for building, where like earlier on I would be like, base game's great, Moschino is great for these windows, Spa Day is great for these things, and Eco Living's fantastic because you get these other windows in it. But these last couple expansion packs have been really good for build buy that we've been getting. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, same here.
What other packs would you then recommend for anybody who's listening to this doesn't know the best build buy packs to at least get their foot into the ground when they start to build?
Okay, for me personally, I have an EA account that like I use on my laptop, and the only pack I have on it is Get Together, because for me personally, I love that pack. It's like my favorite pack for creating, well, obviously castles, but like just other things like cottages and whatnot that I like to make. So for me, that's like one of my favorites, but I would even say Cottage Living is a really good one.
Yeah.
If you can zero in on what your niche is, what brings you most joy when you're building a house, I would say get that pack. Like that is the one. Watch the trailers, see what the builds look like.
Yeah.
If you look at something and you go, holy crap, I really want to build that, then maybe that's the pack for you. And if you look at another one, you're like, oh, I don't really know if I like that vibe, then probably don't spend the money on it because you probably don't want it.
Yeah.
And unless you're a builder like me that's unhinged and needs to have every single object available to them,
yep.
That's I don't know. That's kind of how I see it, I guess.
But the debug in Cottage Living is fantastic too. Like that's the other thing, that it almost feels like a whole nother pack on top of like what you get in the game. Just like from like the stone walls, like I use those as like retaining like flower beds a lot of the time in my builds. And just
the water wheel.
Yeah, the water wheel is fantastic. I'd say like as a builder who like, for a builder gameplay aspect, Tiny Living is fantastic too, because you don't actually have to play the game, but there's still like this builder challenge of being able to build like a micro home, a tiny home, and a small home. And the furniture is pretty like minimalistic, mid-century modern, which I think appeals to a lot of different types of styles that are out there. You can blend it with a lot of things. And then I have enjoyed Werewolf Build By, and I have enjoyed Cottage Living, and Horse Ranch. Those were the big ones recently for me.
That's good. I'm really excited for the new pack. I'm really excited for the build buy to come out. I'm excited for the gameplay aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
I know. I can't wait to see how many people can we fit into the smallest apartment ever challenge, because that's gonna be, I fit 8 Sims in an apartment build that has 4x4 square by 4 square, and I charge them 20 grand a month.
I'm really interested to see how this new element of, I guess it's like, it is gameplay, being able to have these like multiple rentable living spaces by different Sims. I'm curious about like what the increase of Sims on a lot is going to be, I'm interested if this is going to start going into possibly having hotels, like is this their way of, teasing us with the option of like being able to rent, like go to a vacation destination, here's your room kind of a thing. Because I really want hotels. Like that, if there was one thing that Sims 4 I miss so much from Sims 2 and Sims 3 is like the hotel vacation aspect of it. I would love to have that again. And then is there going to be, how does this start to tie into Dream Home Decorator too? Because like if you are doing that career path, are you going to be able to just do that one apartment, or are you going to end up having to do the entire lot as the gameplay for Dream Home Decorator? So I'm got all these questions.
Well, I would love to see hotels. I think that's something that, especially if we're gonna start getting more worlds from around the world, I think that'd be so cool. I'm also waiting for like a Roller Coaster Tycoon Sims crossover, because
honestly, I'd buy that.
Yeah, I would.
Love me some Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Right. Okay. I do
Mhm.
have some questions when it comes to building specific rooms. Jubie, did you have anything you wanted to add before I ask more questions?
No, I think that's I do know. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter as much as I am. I'm addicted to it. It's a problem. So I know that they did say that there is a cheat code coming for that pack, that you can add even more Sims past your lot limit. And the current
Interesting.
lot limit, I think, is going to be 48 Sims.
Wow.
Holy shit. My game can
You can have
barely
8
open with
Sims.
8 Sims on a lot.
I
Yes.
can tell you, like for Bake Off, we use the Twisted Mexi Full House mod for
Yeah.
that, right? And even having 32 Sims on a lot is daunting, and like the PC runs it, but I can tell you there is the fear every time I load that game that somebody's missing because it's like they forget one Sim to like bring it back into that save. But I hope they figure it out. I really do.
They must be like optimizing it. I don't know. That was just
Yeah,
my little tiny tidbit that I had. I was like, I heard those numbers.
but that
So
would be fantastic because like to give those apartment buildings realism, right? You need to have more Sims than 8 Sims on it. Let alone if you have a horse, it's now in your family,
Mhm.
tree. It's not like you know, it's not something
yeah,
separate like the chickens or the goats or whatever. So
love the goats.
I
My
love the
God.
goats. I love the goats. Everybody gets a goat. Like that's the rule. But
Yes,
it's just they don't take up your family inventory of Sims you can have. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's true. So I got a question for you when it comes to kitchens. I posted a photo on Instagram making fun of how people build kitchens when they first start. It's fridge, counter, 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 above cupboard, 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 and the oven's at the end. Um, that is everybody's first kitchen build. I don't care who you are. I still did that until like a year ago. Talk to me. What is some kitchen tips and tricks that you could give to uh everybody?
uh, I hate the refrigerators in this game so much. From somebody who designs kitchens like every day of my life, um, I hate that they don't look built in, and that's why I enjoy CC that people have created where they are like the gorgeous, paneled over cabinetry looking refrigerators. And now when I do kitchens, if I have the space, I should say this, I'll put in like a walk-in pantry that's like behind the kitchen. And that's
Okay.
generally where I'll put the refrigerator, like a secondary sink, a secondary oven kind of a thing. And then give the illusion of refrigerators by just using tall cabinets in some areas, but those will not be like the functioning refrigerators. Those are just there for decoration. But, you know, I just I just wish the appliances, I wish they would look further in the design realm of things for the kitchens that they have in this game. Like I was so excited for the Home Chef Hustle,
Hmm.
but then when those cabinets came out, I'm like, I really don't like these cabinets personally. I feel like they're a little kitschy
Yeah.
and I feel like they could have simplified them or at least offered a simplified swatch, that whole like integrated light that's like on the face of the cat. I don't know. But it's just my opinion. It's my opinion. But again, my
That's
refrigerators go in pantries.
See, okay, and I'm the opposite of Kev. I want my refrigerator. I hate them. I literally hate them. But
Yeah,
I want my refrigerator. Okay, so we're gonna picture walking into a Jubiesims kitchen here for a
I'm here for
second.
it.
So we are
Paint the
standing,
picture.
we are coming through the entryway, we're in a hallway, and there's an arch, right? So we're staring into the kitchen here. When you look into the kitchen, I want to see a faucet in front of me. I want to see a fridge probably on the left side and a stove probably on the right side. If the faucet is against the wall, I want the stove to either be on the island, like the stove top, or I want it to be on the right side. When I do my cabinets, I want to see a wraparound kitchen. Like I want every single thing, and I will use, if I'm using a white swatch, this is like my best tip. I'm going to tell you all my secret. So if you're using a white swatch with the Sims for cabinets, there are so many upper cabinets that actually match together pretty decently if you pick the right ones. And you can just like I mix and match all my cabinets all the time. Like the cottage core cabinets are really easy to mix and match.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do. But I'm kind of similar. I like to use the tall cabinets to like hide my fridge,
Yep.
but I think it makes it unfunctional.
It does. That's the
So
problem.
I usually what I'll do is I'll actually make a cutout behind the fridge of a space that like you can fit the cabinet into, and then I will merge it in with the tool mod. And
Oh,
you move it
clever.
backwards and then you move the fridge into it. It's like it's a bit of math involved,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, it does make it look a little more seamless. It does make it look like I like the look of floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
I like using really tall walls because I like being able to add borders into my ceilings. But I find that when you have the fridges, they don't go up very tall on the walls. So you're
Mhm.
left with like
An awkward
so many,
space.
it's so awkward. So
Yeah.
I'm like, if I have a really big kitchen, I'll do a really big wraparound kitchen and then I'll try to add clutter on top of my cabinets. And then I usually will have an island. And like I said, I follow that like triangle method
The
of
kitchen triangle. Yeah.
the kitchen triangle. It's
Yeah.
like the best method you can do. It's like the everything is adjacent but not adjacent. They're just across from each other. I don't do walk-in pantries. I'm realizing this now.
I do them too much now because of the refrigerator.
It's the damn refrigerator. It's the problem.
Yep, yep. And then I did like when Dream Home Decorator came out and you got those separate under the counter ovens from the cooktop. Like that has been fantastic being able to put like two little ovens, tucked on the side of it, and then you can have like your cooktop centered wherever you want it to be. And
Yeah, because you add a nice pendant light or you add some hanging pots, and then it's
yeah.
like you just look up and you go, oh, this looks so pretty.
And now you can paint that ceiling and it
Mhm.
just makes it look even more beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah.
All great advice. I don't know, I always decorate the kitchen first. The kitchen's the heart of the home.
Yeah.
And I remember the day when I found out that you could make a wraparound island. I fucking lost my mind. Because I would see them in bills. I was like, how? It says no CC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a circle corner. I see a circle islands. Or when I first established that you could do different size cabinets, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I discovered that for the first time, I didn't realize that you could like jump over and it showed like the little menu of the individual pieces. Like when I
yes.
first started building, I was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm just like placing the same cabinet around and it was set on auto. So like when you got to the corner, it would automatically adjust and stuff like that. I didn't know that you could like manually for like, I don't know, a year into
Yeah.
building with this game. I saw somebody on Twitch do it and I was like, this is life changing. And then when I learned alt place too, that was the other thing. So
Alt place is, yeah, that's like the biggest thing. If you can learn how to do alt placing,
yeah,
it's so hard to explain how to do it, but like, holding alt and making sure you have bb.move objects on,
yeah,
obviously. But as long as you do that, like alt placing changed my life as a
changed
builder.
everybody's building game. It was a fantastic thing to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's the biggest game changer. I think if you're looking like I think there's two different ways builders go, and this might just be me on a bit of a tangent, but
Mm-hmm.
like if you think about it, there's gameplay builders and then there's regular builders.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tried playing gameplay last night just for fun
Yeah.
because I have a new computer and I was like, "Whoa, what if I just try doing gameplay for once?" And my boyfriend Jason was sitting here laughing at me because I'm like, oh my God, the Sims aren't married. And now I need to do this. And now I need to do this. And there's so much work involved. The mini sheep needed to be cleaned. I was like, when you're in build mode, it's simply place, delete,
Yep.
place, delete. And like, there is no other thoughts involved. So I guess when you're building, it's kind of like when you're building, you really have to think about, am I building this for myself or am I building this for the gameplay that I want to use it for?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really defines what you're going to be making.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
No, I agree. And it's kind of like building for a client a lot of the times too, where it's like sometimes you have this idea of like who you're decorating for or who's going to be living in this house. And it definitely sets the mood of what you're building too. Like if
I
it's
think they
going to,
tried to bring that with like Dream Home Decorator,
yeah,
but I think it didn't. They tried to merge that thing, the builder and the gameplay together, but I don't know if it really merged.
It really didn't. And like, I just remember like there was one day I tried playing Dream Home Decorator, right?
Mhm.
And it was like Kev does Dream Home Decorator or whatever. I don't know. But there was like no money. There was like no budget, you know? And so to get more money, you just delete like the rest of the house. So these people, you're left with like one gorgeous room, but then they have like the bare bones everywhere else in the house. And yeah, that poor family. So
Yeah, the poor family lost their entire kitchen.
they lost their entire kitchen except for the fridge, base game fridge. And it just, yeah, I just wish that they had done, I don't know. I don't know how I would have done gameplay for that, but I think what they did was fine. It just could have been a little bit maybe better. Budgets are
Yeah,
always nice.
yeah, exactly.
So any other tips and tricks before we move on to maybe another room that we can give tips and tricks to?
I think the only thing is when you're doing kitchens, everybody loves to clutter your kitchen.
Mhm.
Remember that you do need a counter. So, don't clutter. I always clutter my corner counters and my little teeny end counter. And then I try to leave both sides of the sink clear in like the island. But yeah, that's the only other tip I can think of. Just don't
Because
clutter.
otherwise they can't use it.
Yeah.
Your sim comes in, grabs something out of the fridge, and they're like, "Where's the counter?" Like.
No.
um, and I'd say the other thing with building too is like obviously there's great mods out there, but there are things in game that can make you a better builder too, like the alt place and like the move objects on and being able to freely place and layer things and obviously the bracket keys and the 9 and 0 for raising and lowering things. So there's just you don't have to have mods to be a good builder in this game too.
Exactly.
So my heart always goes out to console players because they can't have
Yeah.
them, right? And there's
Yeah.
so many amazing console players out there. I'm like,
Mhm.
your console?
Yeah.
What?
But they can still use the in-game stuff, like they
Yeah.
can still use better move objects, and then they can obviously still use the alt place, like they have their own version of that,
Mhm.
and they can scale things too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, how do we make a bathroom look sexy? Because bathrooms to me are the worst. It's a toilet, a sink, and a rug and a mirror.
Yeah, that sounds okay. Kev is gonna be, oh my God. Kev, your bathrooms are always top tier. And like,
Thanks.
I don't, my bathrooms are, I never showcase my bathrooms ever. I never,
Yeah.
ever, 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 ever do because I'm like, they're simply a 3x2 bathroom. There's a tub, there's probably a shower, there's a toilet and a sink and a mirror. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't know what else you want from me. We're just using the bathroom for the bathroom. So, but then there's Kev. I'll go and look at Kev's Instagram and I'll be like, wow, I'm put to shame again because it's Kev's
Shut up.
immaculate walk-in shower I've ever seen. Or I'll hop into his stream and he'll just be like building this beautiful bathroom and I'll just
Yeah.
be like decorating my little dinky bathroom on the screen. But those are my thoughts.
I love making bathrooms in this game, and I think part of it is just like I love going to the spa. I love going and like getting massage. Like if there's like a guilty pleasure of mine, it is like I like to go get massages and be pampered at the end of the day. I thoroughly enjoy that. And I think
As you should.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I do think when it comes to the game, I want to somehow bring that into the bathrooms a lot of the time. And so I rarely build um my toilets are always in a water closet. They're like always in like their own like separate room most of the time. I try and always have a double vanity in there. And then I always try and do like a two-person shower situation, like that's the epitome of bouginess in my opinion, is if you can have two showers and you can have yours set to your temperature and your other one can be set to your partner's temperature and you don't have to worry about that control. You just turn it on, that's luxury at its greatest. So
That sounds like a great time.
And
Not
like,
like that.
but we know what you meant. But when it came to like, yeah, exactly. But when it came to like, we got university, right?
Yeah.
And we got those like showers that were like not part of like the enclosed
Yeah.
shower. That changed everything. Like that's the only reason why I bought that pack. I've literally like clicked into the world of Brightchester, but I've never played it. I've never looked into the lots in there. I literally bought it for that shower alone. And it's
That's
what
like
makes a difference because you can
my
make your own showers then, you know.
my favorite thing about Kev and I's friendship is whenever I get a pack and I'm going through the items, I think you did growing together on stream when you
I
went through
did
the
the
items.
smasher pass on stream. Yeah.
And I had done I think I went through the items before you did. And I remember literally just going through them, going, yep, Kev's gonna use this, yep, Kev's gonna use this. And it's been like that for so many packs now.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I'm just like, yep, Kev's gonna use this. And it's just I don't know, that's like my favorite part. It's just like there's always that one little detail that I'm
You
like,
know
yep,
when it's gonna be something that Kev's gonna like at the end of the day. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's
my other new thing that I've been doing with bathrooms is I'll even sometimes I'll do like a pass-through door that goes through the shower. So like you'll have like an inside shower and then you'll have a shower on the outside. And that's a very typical Kev the Builder build thing is if I can get an outdoor shower in a build, again, luxury spa. Like that's what it comes down to. That's you can only see that in like Bora Bora and like the Maldives. Like that's what I want.
I had an outdoor shower for like 6 months, I want to say, at my parents' house when they were renovating the bathroom.
Did it have
It was
hot
a
water?
life changing. Yeah, it did.
Okay,
Like,
good,
okay,
good, good.
it literally was hot water.
Yeah,
I remember it was Christmas morning and I was having a shower outside. And it was like I live like in country-ish area,
sure.
so like there's lots of trees and I think there's
Magical
steam everywhere. It was
nature.
so magical. I'm
Yeah,
like, so I agree, outdoor showers are the winning
yeah.
item.
Mm-hmm. Stassy's like, oh God.
So it's been a pleasure. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. I would die.
Why?
You don't like them?
I'm not a fan of outdoor showers.
How come?
Okay, well, true story. I don't shower, I bath because
Okay.
I have poor vision.
But
So
what
I
about
have
an outdoor bathtub?
a
Yeah.
outdoor hot tub.
Okay.
I'll do an outdoor hot tub. I just can't picture being frigid in Ontario,
Oh,
standing outside, house, showering. It would snow to my eyeballs. Like I just can't picture it.
well, I
Okay, it
mean,
makes sense that way.
I wouldn't put it in like suburbia,
Yeah.
but like, in the middle of Oasis Springs or like, in the middle of Horse Ranch where there's like nobody around. It's a desolate town. Totally,
Get me into like the Caymans outdoor shower on a beach. I'm yours. I'm 100% yours. Give me suburbia, Ontario.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound sexy.
No.
So when the new pack comes out and we're all building townhouses, Stassi,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that your townhouse that I'm making specifically for you has an outdoor shower, and then your neighbors are right beside you. They actually
Yes.
share the same patio.
Perfect. Okay.
I think that'll be fine with you,
Oh,
right?
beautiful.
100%.
Paint
Just
a picture.
having my cookie out, just giving a good old shower.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Okay. So Kev, is there any tips that anyone listening to this wants to make their own amazing sex bathroom? What tips could you give them? Because that's
I love
literally
that's now the title that I have.
no, that's seriously, that is how any bathroom that's like porn or level or just like great. I'm like, oh, it's a sex swap bathroom.
I mean, really, that's what it is at the end of the day. Like I
100%.
said, I love a 2-person shower. I use the pebble flooring on the shower floors. In real life, I absolutely hate pebble floors because they're uncomfortable to stand on, but they're not my feet in the game. So I put the pebble floor down. I usually use half walls or if I'm doing a short wall build, I'll use full height, but usually I'll use half walls to kind of create the divider between the shower and the bathroom. And those island living louver windows are like my favorite. So like you just basically sort of get this like little horizontal slat, privacy division between like the shower and like your main bathroom. And then I've seen people who do like the step down, like now that we have platforms, they'll like step the shower down. But I actually prefer to use that garden fence edging that is, I want to say it's base game. But it just is like becomes like a really low rectangular threshold for your shower that your Sims can step over and everything. So that kind of gives the division of like, here's your shower. It looks like a little stone threshold like you would have in real life. And then whatever regular flooring you have outside of the bathroom or outside of the shower. Those are sort of my creating a shower details.
I'm taking so many notes right now.
Oh, shut up.
Okay, so like a question I've struggled with, and how do you make platform stairs, and that they're functional? I've never been able to do it.
To make platform stairs?
Yeah.
I mean, anytime that you use platforms, if it's just elevated by one or lowered by one, your Sim will be able to step up on that.
Interesting. Okay, so like I'm making a platform stairs from outside to my front door. So you would just take platform, 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 platform.
Yep.
Set. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, it's pretty easy. Because you see all these amazing builds and you're like, how y'all using platform stairs?
Yeah.
Okay. Because anytime I use a platform, my Sim's like, doesn't know where.
Too big.
It's too big. And I just want it to like jump down or something. And I'm like, okay, this is why I don't build anymore, and I'm just full on story play. Because like that's more easy than going pose, and being like, I just built. I'm in a collab, and I just built my stuff, and I was like, this is so hard. There's no poses.
Do you guys have the glitch right now with your stairs?
Oh my god, kill me now! Like honestly.
I don't.
Just take
glitch?
my life.
Yeah. What glitch are you talking about?
We're just on the topic of stairs, so I'm just thinking about it.
The railings are not showing up like at all. The posts. Yeah. I get the post at the top and I get the post at the bottom of the stairs, but there is nothing connecting those posts right now.
You're just gonna fall off.
Yes.
Like I'm building castles with like tall wall height, and I want my stairs to go all the way up to the second floor of tall wall heights.
Yeah, no railings.
It's like there's just no railings, and I'm like, well, screw you to whoever is walking up these stairs, because don't be drunk. Don't be the drunk person walking up the stairs.
I'd rather just put in a ladder at this point.
Exactly. And I hate ladders.
I hate ladders. It annoys me so much right now and so now when I'm putting in stairs into my build, I'm like, okay, well, are the railings going to show? Because like there is every once in a while I'll get a railing to show up. But right now most of them are not showing up. So it's like I'm encapsulating the staircase in walls completely.
That's what I'm doing.
So that I don't have to worry about exposed stairs or anything like that. But it's not pretty, Yeah.
So. No, exactly. It's like I think the only thing I have found out, and this is probably going to be, I don't know, by the time this podcast is even out, it'll probably be like fixed. But essentially right now, if you don't add a wall to the stairs, I think it actually helps.
Okay.
So if you don't add like a wall to the stairs, I think that's how it works. But the second you add a wall to it, I think that's when the game gets rid of it. Because I've been fiddling with it, because for the love of God, your girl needs to be able to use stairs. My builds are like as high as the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
I need to be able to walk on the stairs. So that's kind of what I figured out. But my hope is that like when they do the laundry list for the upcoming pack, that they kind of fix it. I think that's when they'll do it then. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of just my hope. That's what I'm thinking it is, but I don't know.
I hope so too, because it's been like I did the Awful Gamers shell, right? And he had this ridiculous shell, but I do have a staircase that is like floating in space. Like there is no, like it's not touching any walls or anything, and there's no railing on either side. Just the little posts are coming down on it. And but then I had somebody who did one of my shell challenges, and I added it to my game, and she had it against a wall partially, so like half of it was covered by wall, and then the railing showed up on it. So it was the most,
Yeah.
it's so weird. It's so weird. And the fact that it hasn't been fixed yet surprises me, like more than anything, because I feel like that's kind of a big one that's
My
visually.
theory, I have a theory. I think we're getting spiral stairs, and I think they're fixing game mechanics to make it. And so somebody left a bug in the game mechanics for the most recent thing that they uploaded, because I think that's how games work. I don't know anything, but that's my hunch, is that we are getting spiral stairs. And this is like, either this is something they left in there purposefully to make us all angry, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, it's like the bunk bed situation. We were all annoyed about beds not working, and then all of a sudden we're like, bunk beds. So
I support
that's
this manifestation right now. So
okay,
Agree.
good,
yeah.
because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, castle kit and spiral staircases. I would believe that
Well,
would happen.
Castle Kit's coming sometime next year, so
I
castles
I
yeah,
and
know.
goth.
I
Pinch me,
voted for
I'm
that.
dreaming.
So I hope we get it. Just because I can't wait to see what Juby builds with it, to be honest.
I agree.
You know? She's going to create the Sims medieval. Like that's just what it's
Yeah.
gonna come out to.
Yep.
That's like my biggest thing. I'm like, if we did the Sims 4 medieval, if I could just make a castle for EA, I would be done. I wouldn't need to do anything else. I would probably just drop out of school. I'd be the happiest person. I'd be like, I'm fine now.
It will happen.
It
It
will
will
happen.
happen.
It
Yeah.
will happen.
Queen of Castles herself is right here in front of us. So
Exactly.
I'll manifest it. I'll keep thinking about it.
yeah. She's got a vision board behind her camera that we can't see right now. So
Right? New computer, how to make
yeah.
castle for EA Sims 4 Medieval.
Yep.
I actually just put it away, but I used to have tiny castles that like sat on my computer right here. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I always have vision boards and different things. That was actually another one of my random tips that I had. Um, Pinterest is your
Oh,
best friend.
Yeah.
love
Always use
Pinterest.
inspiration before you build something.
Yes.
Like they can, like, I think we were talking about like how you can use packs and whatnot, and that's
Mm-hmm.
helpful. And it is, but if you want to go outside of the box a little bit, I would like I can't go to Pinterest anymore and look at houses without being like, oh yeah, that's from this pack and that's from this pack, and I think this is from that pack. And then it's like I build the house in my head, and then I'm like, okay, now I can go build it.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, people are always like, you're so fast at building. I'm like, it's probably because I built it 4 days ago in my brain.
Yeah. You
And
already worked
now
out the technical aspect.
I'm like, this is fine. That's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. That's another one of my little teeny tiny tips.
I think that's a good one. And also to get like familiar with building too. It's always, you know, you paint by number when you're little. And so it's kind of like, build by reference in a way. It's like try and replicate it, try and copy it if you want to. But, having Pinterest for inspiration on interior design, exterior design, landscaping, you can see so many visuals to kind of help you get an idea of how to do it in game. So
Yeah. That's like another one, especially with like floor plans, I
mhm.
guess too, is with floor plans. I had a note written down to not take them too literally,
Yeah.
because the thing is, it was like one of the biggest questions I get on like anything I make is, how did you floor plan that? How did you make this look so realistic? Like on Twitter, I do something called Floor Plan Friday,
Hmm.
and every Friday I post floor plans. And people are always like, "Oh, how would you make that in The Sims?" And it's like, well, you can't replicate something in real life into the game that only has so many different like structures that you can do, right?
Hmm.
So you have to take everything with a grain of salt, and I think building has a lot of patience involved that like people probably don't recognize, because like, oh, it's a video game. They're used to The Sims 3 and auto roofing,
Hmm.
and they're used to just like, it's like the auto windows. You want to place the windows, but guess what? The windows aren't going to look good. So, like, you need to have that patience. And I guess that kind of comes down to floor plans and inspiration as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And where would you find floor plans besides Pinterest? Just like realtor.com,
Actually,
Zillow.
usually like Zillow has a lot of them on
Yeah.
art, but you can also like there's like floorplans.com or something like that, like very basic where like people have created like modeled rendered exteriors and then like I think you can download the floor plans if you have like a membership, but you can also like screen graph them a lot of the time too. But they're usually for people who want to build that actual house in real life. They'll take that and then take it to a builder to bid out and stuff like that.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any more tips or tricks for any building, say a home, any tips inside the home? So we got the kitchen and we got the sex bathroom down. Spare bedroom, living room, 1,600 plants in every surrounding area possible.
I know.
You go, Jubie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say I love a grand space. That's my like when I build mainly historical type looking older places because that's kind of like my little niche that I enjoy. Um, when I go into a home, I like seeing bookshelves. I like seeing there's a fireplace. I like seeing that there's a couch that I personally would love to go sit on and watch the fireplace burn and watch the snow fall through the windows. And I guess when you're building a house, I get a lot of comments of, oh, this looks so lived in. And it's like, well, yeah, because I added a little tiny bit of molded problems, or like little bit of issues on the door frames or behind a picture frame. You can see the paint has been scratched. It's kind of like I add little teeny tiny things into houses because I find that not every house is going to be perfect. And with The Sims, your pre-built base game houses, everything is like a room that is the size of a football field with a bed and a table and a lamp. And it looks so pristine that you can't like picture that in real life.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is the messier the house is,
The
the
more
better
real.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More
exactly.
realism added to it.
Yeah.
Not everything is like perfect. You have to put in those touches, like you're saying, where like, maybe wallpaper is peeling, or like there's scratches, or there's the cracks in the plaster, on the outside. And those are all things that make it feel more real. And those are all
Yeah.
things that are in game too. So you can certainly add that. Anybody who has base game can add, cracks and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See, I wish it's in CC because I have it in CC, but half open doors,
Oh
half
yeah.
open windows. Because who has a door that's closed all the time?
No.
Nobody,
Mm-mm.
No. Yeah.
right? So like I really do hope that that gets in there at some point.
I
Isn't
wish
it?
that was an animation, like I wish
Yeah.
like we have the doors. Like I wish there was like, the teens leaving for school and they leave the door open. And then like over time, I don't know. I just feel like there should be that animation with those objects already,
Well,
to be left open or whatever.
Or lock the door,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
Literally
because
lock the door.
if you've ever looked at it when they're angry and they open and close the fridge, they slam the fridge.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like it would be interesting. Like for me, it would be when we added infants. I'm like, where was the option to gently close the door to risk not waking up the
Oh,
Yeah.
baby?
yeah.
Like I know as my friends with new parents, they're like, oh, well, I have to close my door and I have to do it quietly because the kid can't know that I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And that would have, I think, added a little bit more gameplay as well as a builder type of element,
Mm-hmm.
like a half shut door.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I like it. Any other tips and tricks before we move on to the next category?
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked a lot about, like some tips and tricks on the inside. Here's the thing, we can build the most beautiful house in The Sims, but the Sims camera is absolutely garbage. You need to have reshades or G shades or edit your photos. Talk to me about what you guys do to make your photos from EA garbage to fantastic and photo ready, or print ready, I should say.
Yeah. The camera in game for taking screen captures or even videos in game is pretty bad, to be
Mhm.
honest. Like I don't understand like why the quality is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I use G Shade, and I don't have one that's like heavy on shadows, but it does add like a warmth to all of my pictures and the gameplay and everything. And it's pretty comfortable on the PC for I guess not like overpowering the computer as you're doing building or gameplay. So like I can leave it turned on like all the time and not have to worry about it. Um And then whenever I record videos, I always record through my graphics card software on the computer because that is taking it at its highest resolution of whatever's on the screen.
Mhm.
Where for it, it's in HD or 4K at that point, where the game like degrades it down to I don't even know what it is. Like it's hardly even HD at that point. So
I want to say for that stuff, like just coming from somebody who played, like I played on a MacBook
mhm.
for since release up until very late 2020, early 2021,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of like, and it wasn't until then that I really started building anyways. And the biggest difference that I noticed is when I was trying to take screenshots on that, yes, the computer wasn't great to begin with,
Mhm.
but it was, I wonder if it's just more of like an accessibility thing so that everybody has access to taking these videos and doing these
Mhm.
things. Because in my brain now, like I'm incredibly grateful that I can have a PC, I
Mhm.
can use reshade, like I can do things that I never believed were possible or that were like I was capable of doing kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I wonder sometimes if that's like where The Sims tries to butt in and they're like, no, we're trying to make this available for everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then again, it's kind of like I hate the way that it works in The
Yeah.
Sims. Like the video, like your video was recorded. How much of my video did you record? What
Yeah.
did you record? What
Yeah.
is the video? Like there's certain instances that I'm like, I have no clue that I was even recording a video. You don't have my consent for this. Like I'm confused.
Yeah. You accidentally push the V button on the keyboard and it starts, recording, but
Is that the button? I don't know.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But
Um,
I know for me, I have reshade. I'm not a G shade user. I'm a
Mhm.
reshade user. Um, Mine is slightly, it's definitely slightly heavier because I do appreciate the shadows.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just take screenshots. I use same thing, rule of thirds when I'm taking photos. I try to keep something centered, something in the corner. I try to take photos from like the eye of a sim, so like walking into the space.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. And then you just edit them. I edit them in Instagram. Yeah, I
Canva?
literally just not even Canva. I
Wow.
stopped using watermarks. I literally just go into Instagram and I just use their filters and I do whatever and I lower the saturation and I up the shadows.
Mm,
And that's
hmm,
usually how I edit my photos.
nice.
nice.
Easy.
Very
Yeah,
easy.
Easy.
it's super easy.
Yeah. My thing, like Juby was saying, was the rule of thirds. But then I also, when I'm taking interiors, I'm always trying to make my verticals, like my vertical walls, straight up and down. I
Yeah.
always hate when it's like skewed,
Mhm.
So like when people are taking pictures and like the walls are like this, I just try and make sure my vertical walls are straight up and down, and then turn the grid off, when you're taking pictures. And
Yeah,
then
that's a
it's
big one.
my other little pet peeve is to also like turn the lot line off too. So if you can have a sim on your lot, like it's always nice to be able to not have that white border going around. But I know time sometimes or stuff like that. But
Yeah. That's like another one that I can think of is not zooming in or zooming out too far because it
mm-hmm.
really distorts. I think like you said,
The
like keeping your
perspective.
visuals. Yeah, it really distorts it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably a big portion of it that people they're like, oh, I want to get everything in one photo. And that's super awesome. I'm not going to tell you how to make your photos.
Yeah.
But if you want a perspective of somebody who really takes screenshots take longer than my builds, put it that way.
Yeah.
So it's like you really want to capture like not everybody can download what you're creating.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to capture this is your one moment to show people this is what I made.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make sure that okay, sure I've made a castle. Sure I want to get every single ounce of the castle in it. I never want it to be head on. I always want it to be a little bit slanted and off to the side. I want my horizon line to always be straight. Um, and then when you're inside of a build, it's always I zoom in the full way and then I just move my camera around until I'm in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, when I do my photos, I screen snip it I don't actually screenshot my whole photo.
Mm-hmm.
I just screen snip it and then I throw it into Instagram, and I
Yeah.
trust the process.
Yeah,
Very fair.
I do screenshot. I want, because sometimes I'll take a picture of something that I've been working on, and I honestly might find that rule of thirds like in the photo software that I use too, like when I'm cropping it down. So I might do an overall, but then I might just like shift things slightly, based on the crop at the end of the day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
All very good advice. I have one final question, which this is what every builder struggles with
Uh-oh.
forever is roofs.
Yeah.
That was literally one of the first questions I asked Jubie 2 years
2 years ago.
ago, almost 2 years ago to the day. How do you roof? So I have to end it on how do you roof?
I'll let Juby go with this one first.
Okay, so roofing is like we were talking about earlier, it's like a puzzle, right? So you've built your puzzle, now you are creating the picture of the puzzle. You have to cover all of the spaces. So the easiest thing to do is like if you're making an L-shaped house, use two half-gabled roofs and then just triangle, triangle, make it fancy. Um, but when I do it, it's like I guess I always try to find where is the biggest portion of my roof and where do all my walls meet to make a rectangle. Because if I'm building a massive like a massive rectangular mansion, let's just say, I'm going to put a massive roof on that mansion, but I'm probably going to have some dormers, like little jut out spaces that I'm going to like fill in with different roofs. Um, but I guess at the end of the day, I want to cover my main roof as far as I can. And then I want to fill in the little gaps with the little pieces of different roofing pieces. Whenever you're doing an octagonal room, just use the roof. Just use the octagon roof. Don't use the other roofs. The other roofs are lying to you.
They
You
do
don't
lie. They're such liars.
like whatever the 5 pointed and 6 pointed roof is,
Yeah.
like why are you
Why?
there?
Where are you coming from?
I have no clue. Like I get it, but I don't get it. Um, so those ones, and then the other biggest roofing tip that I could share is make sure all of your roof pitches are the same because I can't
Yes.
personally handle staring at roofs where one, like I made a build yesterday and one of my roof pitches is like super, super high and the other one is super, super flat. And I'm sitting here, I was staring at it like at 5:30 this morning and I was like, I hate that build. I hate it because of the roof. And it's just one of those things that I'm like, I feel like people don't really think about, but it adds so much symmetry to your build that people probably don't realize. Um, yeah, those are my big roofing tips.
I approve of those. All of those, to be honest. The angles of the roof is a huge one because if you're ever looking for something that doesn't feel relative to each other and like your angles are off, then it's gonna feel like it's just piecemealed. It's not gonna feel like a cohesive roof together. Um, and then my tip for when it comes to like flat roofs and stuff like that, I actually like to use the half walls and then platform it up so that there's just like one little band going above the half wall and it accentuates your exterior wall to look higher, but then it
Okay.
also gives like a little capper to the entire build. um so that's like one tip for flat roofs. And then when it comes to doing like regular roofing, I always try and think of materials too a lot of the time. So like dormers, like Juby was saying, like sometimes I'll do like a metal on those as to contrast against what might be just like a regular wood shingle or the thatch roof or something like that. Think about your materials that you're applying on roofs too, because that can also give visual interest based on the type of build that you're working on too.
Yeah, like my favorite is to do when I'm doing Victorians, I always do scalloped roofs
Mm-hmm.
because I love those. And then the werewolf one that we got, that one that has like the overgrown looking roof. I love throwing a good flower bush on top of my house,
Yeah.
and that roof is the perfect one for it.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things that like when I see, oh, they didn't change the roof, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, Why didn't we change it?
Yeah.
What did we forget? Yeah. I don't know. I guess in like adding a chimney to your roof in areas where maybe your roof doesn't add up very well and it looks a little bit wonky. And
Yep.
sometimes it's a game. We're not dealing with real life. We can't mold it like clay. Um, so I guess it's one of those things that it's like you can add random items. Like I usually add a castle tower in the spot where my castles look real bonkers and I just don't want to deal with them. That's
Yeah.
why you just add a castle tower. It works out.
Love that.
I love that. And then um, amazing answers for roofs. I'm very like the plural from a roof, roofs.
Roofs.
Roofs. Um, Thank you for sharing the wisdom of roofs. I have one final note for cheat codes for building for obviously BB move objects. And then you're debugged. It is BB show live
Hidden objects and then live objects.
And then live
But,
objects. Is there
or
another
there's live edit object.
live edit and hidden. Is there a fourth one as well?
I don't think so.
You could always do free build mode
Okay.
on. If you do those ones, it actually enables you to be able to build on like the hidden lots that you can't go onto. I think it's BB dot, or I think it's literally just free build mode on, something like that. Carl's Sims guide is where I get all of my cheat codes because they're always accurate on there.
Very, very good. Well, Jubie, do you have anything else? Any other tips and tricks that we just didn't get a chance to talk to that you'd like to share now?
Honestly, nothing. I think we covered it pretty well, actually.
Very good. Kev, how about you? Final tips or tricks? Anything you want to share?
I think, I think these discussions are important because I think there's such a mass of people seeing builders use mods a lot of the time. And there are a lot of tips and tricks that are just within the game to make you a good builder too. Like I didn't have Tool for, I don't know, the first 2 years of me building in The Sims. I didn't really start using Tool until after builder games at that point. And even at that time, Tool was very different than it is now. Like there was no UI interface. You literally had to have a sim and you had to do it in live mode and everything. And it was just so bonkers back in the day. So just because you're on console or just because you're on PC and you don't want to add mods, you can still be a really good builder. Just, take the time, learn how to play with the rule of thirds, play with proportions, play with the cheat codes, the brackets, the 9 and 0, the alt placing, and you'll be a fantastic builder.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Jubie and Kevin for coming here today and sharing their wisdom because, again, they are the best builders in the Sims builder community, without a doubt. And everyone wants to know how to build. That's literally now that the base game is free, you're seeing more and more and more and more people coming in and being to play it. And they go to Instagram and they see these amazing builds and can feel intimidated. Being like, I can't build like this. So Jubie, again, thank you for coming to me with this idea. It was such a great idea. I'm very excited. This is a 3-part series. This is the first episode of 3. Please stay tuned as there will be another episode of part 2 coming out next month, as this episode's actually coming out tomorrow. You don't have to wait 6 months.
Yay!
Right? that 6 months wait hold's still there for some podcasts, but not for this one.
Nice.
But Jubie, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, probably other social media sites I'm not remembering, but all of them are all at Jubiesims. I have the same name everywhere. I'm pretty easy to find.
We love that.
Castles. I like looking at the ocean. You're probably in the right place if you see either of those 2 items.
Where can we find you and where can we find Bake Off?
You can find Bake Off on Twitch. That's primarily where I stream, is on Twitch under Kev the Builder. And then anything else is pretty much Kev the Builder everywhere. So on YouTube, on Instagram, on Threads, on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. So all of that. Kev the Builder.
I love it. Please go check out Jubiesims, and please go check out Kev the Baker. If you like this podcast, please consider liking and subscribing. There will be a season 3. It's will be filmed next year. If you want to be a guest, please message me. I would love to interview everybody and everybody. I'm on Patreon. If you like what I do and you want to support what I do, please consider contributing to my Patreon page. I do have a Sims story that's currently on hold, but there are 140 chapters out there. So if you'd like to go check out Rose Chronicles, please go and do that. And please go check out my Instagram page, because I'm probably going to hit about 10,000 followers by tomorrow. So I'm very excited to finally hit that milestone of 10K.
So excited.
And yeah, I think that's it. Please go check out Jubie. Please go check out Kevin. They're awesome. Thank you both for coming here today and
Thanks
sharing
for
your wisdom
having
with
us.
everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Well, have a great day, everyone.
Bye.